Come on in, come on in. Happy Wisdom Wednesday. I hope that y'all are well. Today we are diving into it. We're talking about the invisible ceilings that you've created, okay? And why you're the one blocking all of your breakthroughs, okay? We're going to talk about it. Thank you, Lovey. Come on in, come on in. Let me know where you are watching from. Let me know where you're watching from. And put a 1 in the comments to let me know that you can hear me clearly. Come on in, come on in, come on in. We're talking about the invisible ceilings you created and why you are the one who is blocking your breakthroughs. And so we're going to dive deep into that today. So come on in, come on in. We'll wait a few minutes. And also put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Come on in on this Wisdom Wednesday. I hope that y'all are well. For those who do not know who I am, hi Renata Lovey. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Ella Antoinette. I am an energetics and identity mentor, and what I do specifically is I support my amazing clients who are women, women with amazing vision. I actually mentor these amazing women to dissolve invisible ceilings, which is what we're going to be talking about today, so that they can embody energetic and emotional authority, so that their relationships, their leadership, and their wealth reflect their authentic design. A lot of women are out here making, have made money, have been able to do certain things in their lives, but the reality of the situation is that they're struggling to sustain what they've created. And it's no point of creating something if sustainability isn't possible, because who wants to start a business and just to stop a business? Who wants to start a new healthy relationship just to stop it? So it's about sustainability, and the core key to sustainability is making sure that you are able to literally get rid of these invisible ceilings that you've created. So share this live with an amazing woman. Hey, Lovey. Share this live with an amazing woman leader who is a visionary, who understands the assignment, because a lot of women feel like they're struggling with blocks, and you're not really struggling with blocks. You have these invisible ceilings. There's no such thing really as a block. It's an invisible ceiling. And so I help women dissolve these invisible ceilings. And so we're going to talk about how these invisible ceilings are created, what they actually look like, and why you're the only one standing in your way from your breakthrough, your next thing, what it is that you desire for yourself. It literally falls on you, okay? Just a few of the results women have gotten from working with me. Women that come to work with me become extremely more aware, and that awareness awakens them to new possibilities. Those new possibilities look like the following: making more money. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. It looks like attracting better community and relationships romantically. It looks like getting yourself healthier, because my clients lose weight and get themselves together health-wise, okay? I have women who have restored cycle issues, okay? So these are the things, or not restored cycle issues. I have helped women restore the hormonal balance of their cycle, okay? So women have gotten a multitude of results coming to work with me, but the biggest thing is that we get to the root of their identity and the energetics around that. And that's so important. As the energetics and identity mentor, this is why it's so important for me to dive deep into these invisible ceilings, because people are out here scamming. Y'all letting people scam y'all with this whole, let me help you get rid of your money blocks. And there really is no such thing as a money block. It's an invisible ceiling. It's a limitation. It's a limitation that you've created. Now, there may be some programming that contributed to you creating that limitation, but it's still a limitation, okay? And so we're going to dive deep into that, because you're the only one standing in your way of your next level, and that's just the absolute truth. The couple of things that I'm going to dissect today, so you'll get the understanding. Number one, I am going to talk about specifically the invisible ceilings that you declare out loud that you don't realize that you declare. I'm going to talk about the shadow of one particular aspect of womanhood, that, or of women, I'll say this, that positions them to create these invisible ceilings, and then I'm also going to talk about how it shows up in relationship, how it blocks your money, and then I'm going to talk about the psychology behind the ceilings that you have going on. So if you want to shift that and you want to come out of having all these blocks that's blocking you from making the type of money you want to make, all these blocks from positioning you for the type of companionship or community that you are desiring, then this is going to be the live for you, okay? So share this live with another amazing woman. Put a 1 in the comments so I can make sure that you hear me clearly, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and get started on this. So put a 1 in the comments so I can make sure that you can hear me clearly, because I am about to go ahead and get started. Thank you. All right. So again, we're talking about the invisible ceilings that you created, okay? You're the one that's blocking your breakthrough. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Truthfully, you don't need motivation. A lot of people think they need motivation, but you do not need motivation. You need a mirror. That's the season we're in right now. We're in the season, everybody, put down the shadow work. Put down the shadow work and pick up the reflective work. If you don't know what reflective work is, if you don't know what mirror work is, you probably need to get in community over here. Because mirror work is you looking in the mirror of your life. You're looking at the reflections of your life, the people, all these things, because all these things are reflections of different angles of your mirror. And if you don't like the things you are seeing or that are being reflected, then we need to look in the mirror. So again, you don't need motivation. You need a mirror. Thank you, my love, for these likes. Okay. The reason why you need a mirror is because you created the ceiling that you keep hitting. So if you're saying, you know, there's a success plateau, there's a weight plateau, there's inconsistent results, there's love that never sustains, it's income that disappears the second that you hold it in your hand. You didn't attract that. You architected that. So you got to understand the difference between attracting something. Attraction is science. Architecture starts spiritually. Okay? Attraction is science. Architecture is something that you start spiritually. Architecture is what you build. I want you to think about it like that. Thank you, my love. Architecture is you building something into existence, right? You attracting something is you magnetically pulling it in, okay? So again, you don't need motivation. You need a mirror because, like I said, the ceiling that you keep hitting is the one you've created, the success plateau, the weight plateau, the love that never sustains, the inconsistent results, the income that comes, you know, but then it disappears the second that you rest. You didn't attract that. You architected that, and that starts in the spiritual realm, okay? So here's the thing that we have to understand and grasp as well. When I say you architected that, I'm talking about you architected it subconsciously, you architected it emotionally, and you architected it spiritually. And today I'm going to show you how that happened, because a lot of us don't realize the limitations and the things that we have for ourselves come from the things that we placed over ourselves years ago. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was 13, something happened in my life experience. I had an experience where my feelings were hurt about something, and I made it's almost like I put myself under a spell, and I'm going to explain what I mean. I was so upset, and I was crying so bad at the time when this situation happened that I made a decision that I am not going to cry about something that I cannot change for no more than 30 minutes. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes, and then if I can't change it, 30 minutes, it's a wrap for me crying about it. If it's something that I can change, I'm going to cry about it for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to change the scenario. I positioned myself from 13 all the way up into 33 and a half to be like that. And I repressed all of my emotions. So with me repressing all of my emotions, I gained 100 pounds. With me repressing my emotions, I threw my hormones out of balance. With me repressing my emotions, I positioned myself to become extremely ill, right? And so these are the things that we don't realize. I put a ceiling over my head that limited how I was able to release. And the reality of the situation is a feminine woman should be able to release, receive, and reject. If you're not releasing, then you can't receive. If you don't receive, you're not going to tell me that you're rejecting the things that you're being offered, because you're not, because you're so not used to receiving that you will take any and everything, therefore you are not rejecting. Does that make sense? Thank you, my love, for these gifts. So the thing is that you have to understand, and thank you for these follows, The things that you have to understand and you have to grasp is that a lot of us architect things subconsciously, spiritually, and emotionally. And because of that, we put ourselves in position to create these invisible ceilings that actually are not there. And so that's what we're going to dissect today and get into it. So let's go ahead and get into block one, so-called block one. Because like I said, there's no such thing as a block. There's no such thing as a money block. There's no such thing as honestly a weight plateau. There's really no such thing as that. And this comes from somebody who used to be 100 pounds heavier. I know when I hit a weight plateau, I understand that a pivot is important at that time. So that's what I need to focus on. Some area, one of three areas for me needs to pivot, and I need to pay attention to that, okay? So that's something that's extremely important. So let's get into it. The invisible ceilings you declare out loud, okay? Here's one of the most dangerous things that I see high-performing women do. They declare rules to feel in control, and then they become a slave to those very declarations, okay? The reason why this is so important for you to understand when it comes down to declarations is I want you to go back to Genesis because Genesis 1 is literally an energetic blueprint for how you declare something and it happens. When you look at how the Most High designed the entire world, the Most High declared first, okay, was literally like, okay, let there be light, and boom. Not only was there light, but there was also a boundary set. So when women come to me and say they struggle with boundaries, I have to remind them that you are literally a walking boundary. Understand that the first thing was like, okay, let there be light. There was a distinction between light and darkness. This means that darkness had an endpoint and light had an endpoint. You understand? So these are the things that you really have to understand. So when you speak something, and this is even want to take it off the scriptural space and we want to take it to scientifically. If we want to look at it from a science perspective, me speaking right now, right, is a vibration. Every time I speak, the air particles vibrate. The air particles are vibrating. They go into your ears. They beat against your eardrum. Your eardrum is sending a message to the left side of your brain that is saying, hey, we have a message coming in. I need you to pay attention to it. Like I said, this is how music is an easy medium, because the melody goes to the right side of your brain, which distracts you, right, from what's being said, because your left side of your brain is being programmed with the words. So the air particles obey what you say. And this is why it says there's power of life and death in the tongue. This is why it talks so much about bridling the tongue. It talks so much about being careful about the tongue, because what comes off your lips is weighty, beloved. The things that come off your lips carry weight. And it's either going to be weight that releases you and frees you, or it's going to be weight that weighs you down, okay? And this is something that you really have to pay attention to, and you have to really, really, really kind of focus on. So when I'm speaking about the invisible ceilings that you declare out loud, I'm speaking about the things that you say and how you come into agreement with the things that you say, and you put yourselves under spells. One of the things that, and I was having a conversation with this, and I've talked about this before, but I haven't done it in a very long time, where I've talked about how a lot of people fall for the trick of being under spells because you believe that you're under a spell. You believe that you're under a spell. The power comes in your belief, even when it comes down to things like that. So if someone comes to you and says, I put a spell on you, everything that comes after that, if you take that in as truth, and everything that happens after that, you associate it with that spell, then you come into agreement with that spell. And these are the things that we have to really pay attention to, because if you are a believer and you understand yourself, you understand your identity, you understand the power in which you operate from, you should not even be concerned about that. That should not shake you, make you, break you, or move you in any kind of way. Because you understand that in order for those things to come to pass, you have to come into belief. You have to come into some form of agreement. No form of demonic influence can jump on you. There has to be some form of access point, agreement, participation, or permission. So these are the things that you have to really, really pay attention to, because people don't grasp that. And you do it in a very small way. Like, we do it in very, very small ways. For example, a lot of women, like I said, they declare rules to make themselves feel in control, but then they become a slave to these declarations that they put out there. You'll say things like, oh, I'm only taking 15 clients. I'm only charging $97 this round. I'll give him one more chance and that's it. I'm too busy to date right now. I can't start that until next month. And guess what? Every time you say these things, right, you are being heard. Heaven hears you. Your nervous system hears you. The universal algorithm, because the universe is an algorithm created by the Most High, and it literally is the largest responder. It picks up what you putting down. This is why it says, whatever a man sows, ye shall reap. So if you sow lies into the universal algorithm in regard to yourself, you attract nothing but liars into your space, because they only feel comfortable in the vibrational state that they sit on. Most people who lie out of shame or lie from a space of not wanting to hurt someone. Either way it goes is what? Rooted in fear. So if you continue to operate from the frequency of fear and sit on the frequency of fear, you will only interact and attract people who are on that same frequency with you. So when you are making these statements saying, I'm only going to take this amount of people, I'm only going to do this, I'm only going to do that, everything is hearing you and everything is adjusting to the rule that you just made. You just set a rule. You just set a rule for yourself. Even if, okay, thank you, love, even if the rule was made from fear and not faith, you still made the rule. And so the air particles are going to obey what it is that you say. This is why you have to be very careful about what you say. You created the limitation. Who told you to only accept 10 people into that class? Why did you do that? Because you only believe that you can get 10 people. So you set that limit for yourself. And guess what? When you realize and you got the 10 people, you start to realize, well, actually, I actually would like to do 20 people. But in reality, you can't get 20 people because you already set the ceiling of what? 10. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. And thank you for the follows. This is what you have to pay attention to. You created the limitation and then you honored it as if it was law. Hey, my love, that's what happens. When you write something down and make it plain like it tells you in Habakkuk 2:2, when you speak something heavy with your tongue like it tells you in scripture, you literally you be very careful because you may be creating limitations. And then these limitations that you're creating with your mouth and what you're writing down, you are literally living them out as if they are law. Even when they no longer serve you, still living them out like they're law. Let me tell you one thing that a lot of women do. Can I be honest? I'm such a big-hearted person. I just have such a big heart. I just have such a big heart. I just don't know how to, be mean to people or set boundaries with people. These are limitations and weights that you're following. These are laws that you've implemented in your own life. Who told you to do that? Where is it in scripture does it say for you not to guard your heart or protect your heart or guard yourself? Where is it in scripture that tells you to be big-hearted? To be for everybody? Where does it say that at? Where did you get that from? You put yourself under these spells by speaking out these rules when really and truly all the rules are fake. All the rules are fake. And as I always say, if you know nothing else, be able to distinguish the difference between rules, legal, and law. Those are 3 different things. And when you can understand that, you'll know how to maneuver. But like I said, a lot of you with your own words will create limitations for yourself and then honor them as if it's law, even though it is not serving you. And I used to do it. I used to do it in business because it used to be like when I first started, okay, I'm only going to charge $97 for this round. But that was rooted in a belief of fear that nobody was going to pay me more in that time frame. So I limited myself. And the crazy part about it is, yeah, I did the $97. This was years when I first started. Yeah, I did the $97 to be able to start off and do it. But I was exhausted. Not only did I limit my amount that I can actually take in, but I also limited myself by cutting my capacity down, because here I am overgiving in a space where I shouldn't be overgiving in this space. I'm exhausting myself to oblivion because I didn't believe in charging the proper price point. So these are the things that are very important that people need to realize, because you position yourself to self-sabotage. And you making it look like you're being structured. You're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to charge $97 for this round. And you thinking, okay, yeah, I got a plan. The next go round, I'm going to charge $197. It's harder to implement an upcharge than it is for you to start off with a high price point versus you trying to raise the price. And I want you to think about that even when it comes down to yourself. If you understand that the value of the product or your service that you are providing is a $2,000 service, you don't need to run it as a $200 service and then decide next week you're going to up it to $2,000. That's not going to make sense to your community. That's not going to make sense to the people around you. You're going to have to turn around and justify that. And guess what? You're going to feel like you're in your ego. Now you're trying to prove why they need to pay this $2,000 to you versus, when they went the first go around and paid $200. So this is something that we really have to pay attention to and really focus on, because you will self-sabotage thinking that you are setting up some form of structure when you're really playing yourself, like massively, okay? So that's something to really think about. Block 2, the shadow of emotional perfectionism, okay? A lot of women operate from this space, and it's really causing you to have some massive issues. Thank you, my love. You think that you're protecting integrity, or your integrity specifically, but what you're really doing is punishing your momentum, okay? You're too afraid to adjust, too afraid to shift, too afraid to course correct, because you've built your identity on being perfect. Okay, you built your identity on being perfect to the point to where you don't even come across as being human. Let me turn this light down. Some of y'all, it's too bright for me. You don't even come across as human because you come across as so perfect. So instead of adapting, you actually freeze. You stop the launch. You ghost your own product. You avoid showing up because your inner world doesn't really know how to handle tension between I sold this, but I feel this. And that's an energetic ceiling. These are the things that we have to pay attention to. If you ever ghosted your audience, if you were in business, if you've ever dropped out of a program halfway that you paid for, if you've ever fallen silent, specifically because you were scared to be inconsistent, you've hit your own ceiling. See, some of you put yourselves under spell by saying things like, I'm inconsistent. I was just having a conversation with a client, and I'm going to use this example. Thank you, my love. I was just having a conversation with a client who just finished the Muse Activator, because I'm doing exit interviews for the ladies who were in the first cohort. And she was talking specifically a little bit about progression and projections and just different things like that. And one of the things that we talked about was when people say things like, oh, I'm not consistent, or, oh, I'm not making progress. And so I have to always ask, well, where did you get that from? Who said that? And it's normally the voice of someone else who's saying, you know, you're not making progression, or you're not being consistent, you're not doing that. And I have to remind the person, hey, do you have evidence of progression? Name me 3 things that, you know, where you've shown this. Tell me about the people who have told me that they see the shift and the change within you. So you have evidence of progression. So why are you feeding into the projection of someone else? Hear what I'm telling you when I say this. Criticism, distortion, and performance are all forms of projection. You understand? Criticism, distortion, and performance. They are forms of projection. When a person is coming to you and they are criticizing you, when you argue or try to defend yourself, a part of you is coming into agreement with what that person said. That's what you're not realizing. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these comments and these likes. Because if whatever the person is saying to you is not true, okay, if it's not true, then you don't feel the need to have to argue with something that is simply not the truth. Simply not the truth. A projection, when you hear criticism, when you hear distorted truth in regard to yourself, when you hear performance, or you know, somebody's harping that and pushing that on you, what you have to understand and realize is that that is a projection. And you have to ask yourself, number one, is this true? Is this criticism true? Is this distortion true? Is this performance is this true? You have to assess yourself for evidence before you go in and react. A lot of you don't know how to keep your power because you're so busy trying to show people you ain't finna let them tell you about you, and they don't know you, and you gotta prove a point. And really, you're actually coming across very powerless, because what you're doing is exposing the fact that you are offended. You are this, you are that. Why are you offended by something that's not even true? Someone calling you inconsistent, honestly, should not offend you. And this is what I'm saying with this. Nobody should, because we're creatures of habit. Thank you, Lovey. We're creatures of habit. So we're extremely consistent. We may not be consistent in the areas that we need to be. We may not be consistent in the areas that other people believe that we should be. But the reality of the situation is that we are creatures of habit. So the fact that you will say that you are inconsistent is very untrue, because we are creatures of habit. And these are the things that we have to pay attention to, and we have to know when people are criticizing you, when people are distorting truth about you, when people are, coming into space of performance, you need to be asking yourself, is this true, before you try to go off on a tangent to try to defend yourself. Because it does not make any sense. If you know it's not true, there's no need for you to come into agreement with it or to even argue. And I had the conversation last night with the second round of the Muse Activated last night. We talked about how arguing is witchcraft. And if you've been on my, it's high level sorcery. If you've been on my lives before, I've broken down why and how arguing is high level sorcery and how it's witchcraft and how women play themselves and they energetically enter themselves into a power exchange. When you actually argue, you actually give away your power. It's high level sorcery and you still don't even win. You still don't even win. When you are trying to argue with someone, because to argue means two things. It means to persuade or to prove. And if you're trying to persuade someone, that requires some form of manipulation. Why are you trying to persuade them to think how you think, believe what you believe, feel how you feel, and their own creator doesn't do that to them? Their own creator does not force them to choose the creator. So why would you, or why are you trying to forcefully persuade someone to come your way? That's high level sorcery. How is it high level sorcery? Because to manipulate the mental energy or spiritual energy of another person without permission or participation or, open access is deceitful. It's evil. And this is the thing that you really have to pay attention to, because it's extremely, extremely important. If somebody is committed to believing what they believe, why do you feel the need to force them to believe something else? Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. Why do you feel the need to do that? You have to ask yourself that. Anytime you find yourself irritated, annoyed with the way someone believes and what someone thinks and the way someone operates, that is an invitation. See, that's not an invitation. And I was just having this conversation with my client. It's an invitation for you to investigate yourself to see why you are so bothered by somebody being themselves. And a lot of times it's because you're not comfortable being yourself. See, people who cool with being themselves ain't got no issue with nobody else being themselves. It's the people that's not cool with themselves that have an issue with everything else that everyone else is doing. You know how I know? And this is about to sound bad, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You know how I know? I can tell when a woman is hating on another woman because she really wants to be sexually outside and all over the place. It's the main one that's criticizing them. The main ones that's criticizing people for making that decision to go out there and operate that way are the very women who wish that they can go out there and do the same thing, but they too scared they're going to get criticized. They too scared they're going to be this. They too scared they're going to be that. And that's really what that is, truthfully, is what it is. Because if somebody, even if that's not my lifestyle, I'm not knocking an SW worker. You know what I'm saying? That's not my life. But I ain't knocking them for the life they choose, because that's a part of free will. That's a part of this quality of life experience, the ability to choose. So when the scales are balanced, everybody can look at what they chose for themselves. You understand? So I don't feel the need to criticize a woman who feels to needs to go out and do this. Just much like y'all get on here and try to criticize women who are Bob the Builders and crack all them jokes and say all that. I have no qualms for women who are builders. Those women are important. And truthfully, if we really want to get into you, let me put you on game. It's 3 types of women out here anyway. It's the builders, it's the amplifiers, and it's the ready, set, go. You better figure out which category you fit in. Because if you understand which one you are, then you know how to maneuver, you know how to protect yourself, you know how to make sure that you don't get used. There are women who are builders out here who don't get used. Some women, that's just in their DNA. I have a really good friend, and I had to say this for example, I have a really good friend who is a person, she builds from the ground up. She is just that type of person, right? So the key thing is, and people are like, oh, you don't build and you don't do this for a person, you don't do this. Let me tell you something. You do what's in alignment for you. But I also will tell you this at the same time. The wise women that I know that are builders, while they're building things, they're making sure that whatever is being built, they're being included in the building, okay? They're getting a percentage of the building, eh? All right? So this is not them just going into this scenario and being lost. This is them being very clear of how they operate and setting themselves up in the process. Do you understand? If a woman, let's just say, If a woman was in a scenario where she was building with her friend, right? They were building a business together. It would be wise for her to make sure that the foundation and the foundation of the building stages, that she always gets a percentage of the company, right? It only makes sense. She's always looking out for her best interest because she understands that she puts in a lot of work and she's a builder. So she's going to make sure that she's going to receive. You understand? Because she understands her value, because she understands that she's priority. So she's going to make sure that that's taken care of off top. See, y'all had a game wrong. There are women who operate like that. I'm not a builder. I'm an amplifier. That's the category that I fall in. Women who are amplifiers are the type of women who, how can I explain this? Women who are amplifiers are the type of women who can see a foundation. If the foundation is already laid, the foundation is already set up, the foundation is already good, then you blow on it and it's going to expand. That is the type of woman that I am. I expand things, I amplify things, I multiply things, I magnify things, I magnetize things. That's how I operate. So in me doing that, and being an amplifier, I only entertain people who amplify my fire in life, in love, and in business. Because I am a natural amplifier. You're going to have to fuel the fire in order for the fire to amplify. So if there's no fuel coming to the fire, there will be no amplifying. Do you understand? So again, you have to understand how you operate. If you are a builder, if you are an amplifier, if you are a ready, set, go. If you are a ready, set, go person, that means that everything has to be set up already for you to walk into any scenario. Everything has to be laid out extremely clear. You cannot build from the ground up. You cannot amplify. Everything got to be together, and you need to be able to walk into that. But understand, when you walk into a ready, set, go scenario, there are rules over there. And the rules over there, you have to be willing to go in and abide by the rules, because you are not in a position to amplify. You are not in a position to build. You are in a position to be ready, set, go. So whatever it is that you are receiving in that experience, you need to turn around and make sure that you invested in something that is going to give you a return. Because if you do not, you're going to find yourself in a bad position. So understand what category you fall in and stop judging the other women, instead of like putting them down and doing that. Figure out where you fit. If you figure out where you fit, you know who you align with, you know who to deal with, you know how to work, you know how this goes. And the problem is, a lot of women do not understand themselves, okay? So let me go back a little bit to the arguing point about it being witchcraft, okay? So you're welcome, all praise to the Most High. So the first part I said was persuasion, right? To persuade. The second aspect of arguing is to prove. So we've already established that if you need to persuade someone to do anything, that means that there's some form of manipulation involved. So you're having to manipulate them to be able to get them to do whatever it is that you want them to do. So that is high-level sorcery, because if they're committed to their beliefs, who are you to go into their mind? Who are you to present things and put it into their minds so they can shift? That's not your business. You out of order. You dead wrong. You dead wrong. So let's go into the aspect of the second element of arguing, which is proof, right? Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. So we're talking about proof. Normally when people are trying to prove something to someone else, proving involves some form of force. I'm going to prove you wrong. See, this is something that women do, the highly educated women do, and I'm a highly educated woman. This is something that highly educated women who are not sure of themselves, they do. They use their knowledge, right, to get the big head. This is why it tells you, knowledge of all things, get an understanding, and how wisdom is better than knowledge, like all these different things. Because knowledge does nothing but give you talking points and give you the big head in arguments, because you feel like you got something to utilize in your back pocket to be able to prove somebody that you are right and they are wrong. See, when you're trying to prove and you're trying to get proof, you're trying to force them on your side. Again, if they are committed to what it is that they believe, if they're committed to what it is, their ideas, if they're committed to their opinion about you, why are you trying to prove them differently? Why are you trying to make them feel like they need to do or be or say or believe whatever it is that you are saying? You are trying to be their God. High-level sorcery. Because you are not. Their creator does not even go into their minds and shift their minds and change their minds and force them to do anything. So who are you? You are forcing yourself. That is high-level sorcery. I don't argue. And then the sad part about it is, You're violating when you argue. Not only is it high level sorcery, but because you're not even spiritually equipped to be playing them type of games, truthfully, you are violating the conservation of energy principle, which means that you are wasting your energy by trying to fuel it into someone else, so that you're not focused on yourself, that you're going to exhaust yourself. See, this is why you get tired in the argument, because nobody listens to you when you keep giving your perspective, because you weren't supposed to give it. Nobody told you to force that on nobody. That's why you get exhausted. You're violating you're violating spiritually and you're violating scientifically here. And that's the thing that you really have to pay attention to when you're trying to argue. You are committing high-level sorcery and you are violating the principle of energy conservation. You are fueling somebody else. You are attempting to fuel someone else when that fuel is meant for you. Energy is not destroyed. It is only transferred. So if you choose to spend your time transferring your energy into an individual who is not committed to even hearing you, that's crazy work. But I'm going to let you have it, though. So yes, arguing is high level, high key witchcraft. It is high level sorcery. It's a trick, because it tricks you into believe you getting your point across when really you just gave your power away. How does it feel to be powerless? That's what you have to consider. That's what you got to pay attention to. So you in heavy violation. And so that's something that you really have to think about. Okay? So that's what I mean when I'm talking about arguing is witchcraft and all of that great stuff. So let's get back into it. All right. So you've stopped the launch. You've ghosted your own product. You avoid showing up because your inner world does not know how to handle the tension between I said this and I feel that. Okay. So again, this is for you if you've ever ghosted a program, ghosted your audience, dropped out of a program halfway, or if you ever felt silent because you were scared of being seen as inconsistent. You have literally hit your own ceiling. Okay. What about passive aggressiveness? What about it? I don't believe in it personally. I don't believe in it personally. That's just me. You either are aggressive or you're passive. It's real simple. You either are aggressive or you're passive. And there, to me, there is no such thing as passive aggressive. That's the same thing as being in gray. That's the same thing as riding the fence. It's a level of confusion because you want to confront, but you don't have the gall to confront. It's a state of confusion, and the Most High is not a God of confusion. So to be passive aggressive is not even to be in your godly energy. It's not even to be in your authentic identity. It says that you were created in the likeness and the character of the Creator. The Creator is not passive aggressive. At all. So these are the things that you have to really think about. So being passive aggressive is not real. That means you don't want to make a decision. That means you don't, passive aggressive is for people who claim that they don't like confrontation. But the reality of the situation is not that they don't like confrontation. They don't like conflict, and they refuse to confront themselves, because if they confronted themselves, it would be easier for them to confront other issues and other people. Okay? So somebody said, is being passive a good thing? You have to ask yourself, has being passive gotten you where you want to be? See, good and bad is subjective. You understand? So I can't tell you if being passive is being good. Has being passive been good to you? Is the question that you have to ask yourself. Okay? So let's get into how this block, right? Peacemaker versus peacekeeper. I like that. So remember, we're talking about the invisible ceilings you created while you're the one that's blocking your next breakthrough or your next level. Okay, so let's talk about how this shows up in relationships really quickly. This isn't just business that I'm talking, because how you do one thing is how you do all things, and these are the things that we have to really keep in our minds. Number one, you do this in love too. You do this in love. The ego is always in the way. Anytime you're trying to prove, defend, or impress, you in your ego. Prove, defend, and impress. Ego. And ego, I heard Deepak Chopra say this a long time ago. Your ego means edging God out. And I feel that. Because if you are a creation of the Most High, if you are this amazing individual, if you are this, if you are that, then why do you need to prove? Why do you need to impress? Why do you need to defend that when you could just simply be that? I mean, last time I checked, an apple didn't have to scream, I'm an apple. You can look at an apple and tell an apple is an apple, right? Got it. So let's go ahead and get into it. You don't just do this in business. You do this in love. So let's go ahead and go there. Mask off, okay? So here are the top 5 ways that women create ceilings in love. Let's talk about it. Number 1, I don't need a man. I ain't never seen a woman who claimed they didn't need a man or be like, I don't need a man, I don't need nobody in my life. They were the main ones that want them. They were the main ones that want them. Your I don't need a man is basically, now you're under, how can I say this? Now you're emotionally underfed and overfunctioning. Now you're doing everything because you don't need a man. You're hyper independent. You don't need support. You don't need help. You don't even let the people help you at the grocery store. You want to take 5. You want to put all the bags on you, so you only get to take 1 trip. Just because you don't want to ask somebody for help. Some of you don't even utilize the help that's around you. Like, it absolutely makes no sense. And these are the things that we really have to pay attention to, because when you're saying I don't need XYZ, when you desire companionship in the masculine, you just have to be honest about that. You desire companionship in the masculine, which is going to support you in the area of being emotionally fed. There's nothing wrong with that. But to close that off when that's something that you really desire and that you really, really want, it makes sense, right? Baby, let me block you, because what are you talking about? Who said something about entities and whatever? Goodbye. I don't feel like making examples today. So this is the thing that you really got to pay attention to, and you really have to notice when you are saying these things, you're putting yourself under a spell. So be very, very careful saying what you don't need, because you will deny yourself support. If you're the same woman that's saying, I don't need a man, or I don't need men, like when you go into the grocery store, like, why are y'all going outside carrying all this heavy stuff when you can literally go and ask one of the men in the store that work there to support you and help you and bring yourself out? If you don't feel safe in the store because you feel like somebody is following you, why don't you ask a man that's in the store to walk you out to do that? You don't do that because in your mind you put yourself under the spell that you don't need them. So you don't even like ask when you have things like simply around you, when you can ask and you can activate the masculine around you, but you just won't do it, right? But you do that when you put yourself under that spell. The second thing that women do in relationships where they block love for themselves is they say, like, I'm never letting anyone get this close to me again. Now even good love feels unsafe. See what you did there? See what you did there? When you said, I'll never let anyone else get that close to me again, now even a person that comes into your space, who's healthy, who is kind, who is everything that you claim that you have been looking for, now that feels unsafe to you. Why? Because you put yourself under the mindset of, I never am going to allow myself to get this close to anyone again. And eventually that person is going to be repelled by the energy that you're putting off, and then you're going to regret operating like that in that experience. Okay? So there's something that you really have to pay attention to. Number 3, it's the third way that women tend to do this, and they block it for themselves. If he doesn't do this, I'm out. Okay? If he doesn't do XYZ, I'm out of there. I'm done. But at the same time, thank you, Lovey. At the same time, you keep choosing men who don't even offer. Okay? You keep choosing men who don't even offer. You're saying if this person doesn't do this, you're not going to deal with them, but you continue to choose men who don't offer you anything. It does not make any sense. But that's how it goes. You have to be very careful about the things that you were saying out of your mouth. When you say things like, he should know what I need, but you never really voice the need. The silent expectations are really knocking y'all down because y'all are not being honest about what you want. You're saying that you don't feel like you should have to say what you want, which is absolutely ridiculous. Even when you show up to a job, they give you a job description of what it is that you're going to be looking for. I'm not telling you that you need to go in here like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. But if you're going to enter into any form of companionship relationship, you need to be very clear on what it is that you need and not have a problem articulating that, because if not, you're going to find yourself in a state where, okay, I like somebody, it's cool, we got together, but your needs are not being met and y'all have wasted each other's time. You wasted this person's time. Women a lot of times will say, men need to know what they want. No, women need to know what they want. Because let me help y'all out. Because see, this is what I don't like and where we are missing it. They don't ever have to know what they want. You need to know what you want. They ain't never got to know what they want. You understand? You need to know what you want, because that's going to put you in position to understand what you're going to participate in, what you're going to give permission to, what you're going to, give your attention to. Stop running around here talking about somebody playing with you. You playing yourself because you don't know what you want. The minute you see that this is not what you want, you need to exit. But y'all play too much. You want to sit around. You want to wait. You want to be patient. You want to be the cool girl, nice girl, all that. Girl, please. I am nobody's piece. You understand? I'm not. Understand that. What I am is productive. What I am is progressive. And when you come over here saying that you are interested in me, we either going to rise to the occasion or we're going to retreat. I'm prepared for both of them. I'm prepared for them to rise to the occasion, and I'm prepared for them to retreat, because I only deal with what's in alignment for me. You understand? So I'm not messed up about somebody leaving, because baby, like Gucci said, it's like a bus. 15 minutes, another one coming. So understand, when you understand your value, you're not positioning yourself by saying things like, oh, if this person does this, then I'm going to do this. Baby, if they don't do it, they just not going to have access. What do you mean? They not in alignment. If it ain't aligned, it ain't mine. So I'm not even mad about it. Y'all be getting mad about strangers and frustrated about stuff that's not even that. Like, don't. Stop. Okay? He should know what I need. If you ain't voiced what you need, and a lot of y'all don't know what you need, which is why you haven't voiced what you need, which is why you're not getting your needs met. Okay? Get into it. Here's the 5th way that women do this. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. And I hate this for y'all. When you say things like this, I'll be soft when he earns it. He needs to take me out of, to put me in my feminine energy. Do you know how silly that sounds? Very silly. I'll be soft when he earns it. But your femininity been on pause for 6 years. You'll be soft when he earns it. So that means you're going to walk around here with your femininity on pause until somebody pulls you out into a space where you feel like you can be feminine. So you mean to tell me you being feminine is determined based on somebody else? Based on a man? Are y'all all right? Your femininity and your feminine energy has nothing to do with men. The way that men respond to you is a byproduct of your feminine energy. That has absolutely nothing to do with them. So why they have no control in that area. So for you to put that on them, that you're going to be soft when he earns it, is quite ridiculous. Either he's a structured, stable space so you can land there softly, or he ain't. That's what it is. Either he is a structured, steady, stable space where you can land softly, or he ain't. Point blank, period. And if he ain't, don't land there. But you don't stop being soft. Y'all let external stimuli, life experiences, heartbreak alter your core of who you are, and you start treating other people based on those experiences instead of learning from those experiences and elevating to a new vibrational state so you can attract better experiences, because that is really what it requires. Okay, everything that I just said, those 5 statements, they were never boundaries. These ain't no boundaries. I don't need a man. I don't let nobody get close to me again. If he don't do X, Y, Z, I'm out. He should know what I need. What was I going to say? I'll be soft when he earns it. These are trauma-drenched ceilings. These are blocks. That's what they are. These are the blocks you've created. They are trauma-drenched ceilings. They block, even if there are good men, they block good money, and they block good momentum. You blocking the money, you blocking the men, you blocking the momentum. Now let's talk about how you blocking the money, because we are talking about the invisible ceilings that you created and how you are the biggest block to your blessings and your breakthroughs. So let's get into how you blocking your money. Okay, so let's talk about the ceiling you placed on your wealth. Number 1, for those who are in business, oh, I can't charge that much yet. I'm just starting. I'm gonna price at $25. I'm gonna price at $97. That product and service is a $10,000 product. But because you don't believe in yourself, you want to charge $97. Okay. I'm not ready for clients at that level. Why aren't you? If the gifts were given to you by the Creator, and the most famous person in the entire world decides to call you and decides to say that they want to work with you, are you really going to be like, oh, I'm not ready for clients at that level yet? Why? What do you mean? It's not making sense. You blocking your own self. I need to get more consistent first. That's another one they say. Oh, I can't scale until I have the perfect funnel. I need to heal before I sell again. Who said that? Now I'm finna hit y'all with the portion. Who said that? Who said that? Who told y'all that? Who said that to you? Who told you that power had to be proven before it would be profitable? Who told you that? I'm going to say it again. Who told you that your power had to be proven before it could be profitable? Because it tells you in scripture that I call you, then I qualify you. But on ting, y'all don't think it's funny how society makes you show your qualifications before they hire you? You got to understand that in this 3D world, they try to do everything very opposite of the creator to get you to fall under a spell. That's how you started working to prove your value, to prove that it's worth them paying you that much, because you begin to believe that you need to have certain qualifications in order for you to be picked. Huh? The pick me energy is not just in relationships, baby. It actually started in the corporate realm. Let's go ahead and get into it. You've been on the pick me energy for a very long time, because how you do one thing is how you do all things. These are the things that we have to pay attention to. We should feel empowered, but let's be honest about overvaluing as well. I'll tell you this. I'm not even going to say that a person should feel empowered to be reality, because for me, I'm not an empowerment person. I actually disempower you, if I'm just going to keep it real with you. I disempower you to come out of the illusions, because there are a lot of illusions. There are a lot of illusions in this society, and control is the currency of illusions, which is why, again, we live in a society of illusions, right? When you understand value is an innate experience, then you can create external value. And when you understand that there is no way for you to overvalue yourself, when you understand innate value is what creates external value. And in order to create true external value, right, and to properly position it and price at the proper space, one has to understand the internal value, and one has to understand the external value that it creates in the form of impact. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. So yes, very much so. People will get out here and just be talking like people who are in a space of overvalue are watching other people's pockets and pricing based on that. You're pricing $9.97 because you think somebody else, you saw them pricing $9.97 without really articulating and really assessing the value of what it is that you're actually offering. So yes, people go into that space, but that's because they're mimicking someone else and they don't understand intrinsic value creates external value. And that's actually how you create impact, which attracts income. So a lot of people really don't grasp and understand that. So I wouldn't necessarily say about feeling empowered, to be honest with you. Empowerment to me is, especially women empowerment, is very much so a joke. It's very much so a joke to me. I prefer disempowerment because I need you to wake up to the illusions of what's happening. Yes, that's all I'm saying. LOL, let it be the actual value and impact. Exactly. Okay, so again, who told you that your power had to be proven before it could be profitable? You created this delay. You imposed the gate. Y'all talking about the floodgates opening, baby. You closed the gate. You're waiting on a version of yourself that only emerges when you decide to move as if you are her now. Okay? If you've got programs that you've never launched, if you've got clients who've never paid, if you've got content you've never posted, it's not laziness, it's ceiling behavior. You're blocking yourself. Now let's get into the psychology of ceiling behavior and why we create these ceilings and what exactly happens in this space. And I talked about it a little bit in another lab, but now I'm going to break it down a little bit more because I didn't last time. There are 3 psychological reasons why you keep hitting the same wall, the same plateau. This is something that, and I'm not going to repeat it, so I hope y'all paying attention, okay? Don't ask me to repeat nothing because I'm not. I'm going to run through these 3 and I'm going to tell you, okay? If you keep hitting a wall, if you keep hitting a plateau, if you keep running into this space, I guarantee you one of these 3 things is out of order. So I'm about to put you on game. Go ahead and share it with your friends if you need to. Go ahead and share it with them now, because once I say it, I ain't going to say it again. You better catch it on YouTube, and I don't know how long I'm going to keep it on YouTube, okay? All right. Everybody good? Everybody fine? All right. There are 3 psychological reasons why you keep hitting this plateau, why you keep hitting this wall. Number 1, miscalculated momentum. Okay? You assume that motivation lasts forever, but it does not. So therefore, you have miscalculated momentum. I'm going to give you a perfect example. You ever seen somebody, or you've been the person who went to church and you got saved and you were so happy because you were so emotional and you was just so caught up in everything that was happening and you were just on fire for the Lord. You just this and this, that. I'm talking about you going hard. And about a month, 3 months, 6 months in, you like, I don't know, how do I keep doing this? I thought all my problems were going to go away. I thought I wasn't going to struggle with this no more. I thought you was going to come and do it. Again, miscalculated momentum. You were on the high of the experience of coming into community. You were on the high of the things that were being spoken about. You were on a high of that. But you miscalculated. You miscalculated momentum because you thought that, or you assumed that that feeling and that motivation was going to last forever. But it doesn't. It doesn't. This is why it tells you in scripture to renew your mind daily, because it's a process. It's the process. Here's the second psychological reason you keep hitting the same wall. Unacknowledged friction. Okay? You ignore the part of you that's scared to finish. I said it again. Acknowledged friction. You are ignoring the part of you that is scared to finish. You are not being, anytime you are saying you're going to step into something new, whether it's a weight loss journey, it is business, it is that, it's all these different things, right? When you get into the space of those things, you have to pay attention and you have to assess yourself for your barriers. You have to assess yourself. If you know you are an overthinker all the time and you decide you want to start something new, you already know you are an overthinker. So because of that, overthinking can position you to talk yourself out of your next level. It can position you to not get things done and not execute. You have to acknowledge that you have an issue with overthinking and get the proper support that you need, because of overthinking is going to come up in the process of what it is that you are doing. Okay? This is very vital and very, very important. You have to acknowledge the friction in the process, because if you don't, once you get hit with the friction, you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop. Okay? So that's something that you need to pay attention to. Number 2, again, psychological reason why you keep hitting the wall. You are not acknowledging the friction that comes up when you are trying to do something new. Okay? The third psychological reason why you keep hitting the same wall, lack of energetic containment. And this is a big one. This is a really, 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 really big one. Lack of energetic containment looks like you spread yourself too thin and wonder why you leak power. You spread yourself too thin and you wonder why you leak power. There are no boundaries. There are no gates of protection. There's no guarding your heart above everything else. You are not guarding your gates. You are not doing the things that you need to do to position you to be better. And this is why brilliant women feel scattered. This is why powerful women procrastinate. This is why feminine leaders collapse behind closed doors. Because of these 3 reasons that I just gave you just now, okay? And that's something to really, really pay attention to. Here's what I need you to understand in this process so you don't shame yourself, because women tend to kind of shame themselves when they come into the realization of certain things. Okay, maybe I did miscalculate my momentum, my ability to do this workout plan. Maybe I thought I was going to be motivated. People do it all the time. Miscalculated momentum, a great example of that is definitely people who start working out at the beginning of the year. They have all this rah energy ramped up, ready to start, but they think that momentum is going to keep them going, when in reality, by February, it's over with for them. Because they have not acknowledged their frictions and they have no there's a lack of energetic containment. Of course, you cannot go to the gym and eat right and focus on yourself when you think that motivation is going to fuel you the whole time, when you have not acknowledged the frictions and the barriers that you have, and when you don't have boundaries. You're going to be too exhausted to execute. That's why you're not getting this stuff done. You're not understanding the science of yourself, which is why I need you to really grasp what it is that I'm saying. Here's what you got to know. You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're not even lazy, truthfully. You just don't know how to hold momentum when fear shows up, okay? That shift doesn't happen in hype. It happens in the identity. Okay? You don't need a new strategy. You need a new structure. You need a new energetic protocol. Okay? A new relationship with pressure, with power, and with performance. You need a new relationship with those three things. And that's what we're doing in the Finish What You Start masterclass, the physics of follow through. In that specific masterclass, I'm supporting you and teaching you how to create this framework and how to understand the physics behind yourself so that you can execute things. A lot of women operate from reactive execution identity, which basically means that you only respond to things or you only execute on certain things when you're pissed off, when you're panicked, or when you're heartbroken. This is why women only level up when they lose their man or when something crazy happens. That's the only time they get motivated to execute with themselves. That's the thing, reactive execution identity. And so we break that down, and we're going to talk about that in the class on tomorrow. But so if this live exposed you, okay, if you saw yourself in these ceilings, this masterclass is not another sales training. And actually, the masterclass really is sold out. But I have put up there for a couple of the tickets because people have been asking me, but it really is already sold out. So I opened it back up today. Here's what you're going to walk away with after we get out of class, okay? You're going to know and have awareness of your sabotage identity. Hey, Queen Mother, you're going to get tools to create internal safety, okay? Safety tools to help you with internal pressure. You're going to need and going to leave with a new energetic strategy for finishing. You have to understand how to use the laws of science to be able to execute. We're going to do a lot of talking, how I talked a little bit about the energy conservation principle. We're going to talk a lot about Newton's law and how to use science to execute. The reason why you're not executing and you keep starting and stopping is because you don't understand your internal physics. I'm going to teach you your internal physics. Once you learn your internal physics, at that point, it will simply become like this. Either I'm wearing a red shirt or a blue shirt today. You're going to make either the decision. Either I'm going to execute on this or I'm not going to execute on this. You need to understand the science of yourself. 3 key things that women need to thrive on this earth. Number 1, you need to understand spiritual law. Number 2, you need to understand the science of yourself. And number 3, you need to understand the psychology behind the women in your lineage. So you realize and you can connect those dots so you don't repeat those patterns, okay? The class is $127. You can get it with Klarna Affirm and Afterpay. You can click the link in the bio to be able to get access to it. If you are in a space where you want to go deeper than that, So if you want to go deeper than that, and you want to anchor into money, you want to structure your power to hold more without burning out, that's what the Magnetic Wealth Blueprint is for. That one is not about sales. It's about structure, emotionally, spiritually, and strategically. And the link is in my bio for that. That is going to help you get rid of all of your attachments so that you can actually receive. The reason why you're not connecting in the areas that you want to connect in your life with the type of money you want to make, or even the type of masculine you want in your space. All of those things, the reason why that's not happening is because, or why you can't connect with those things is because you have attachments that are blocking you from actually creating those connections that you actually desire. And so what the Magnetic Wealth Blueprint does, it helps you detach. It teaches you detachment in action, and it sharpens your discernment, which supports you if you're out here dating or dealing with people just in general. And that bundle is $333. You can get it with Klarna Affirm and Afterpay. The first thing that you're going to get in there is Deconstruct and Refill Your Cup Masterclass. That's going to teach you how to detach from and deconstruct from your fear-based relationship with your creator. It should not be rooted in fear. A lot of us only have a relationship with the creator because you don't want to go to hell. That's not safe. That's not safe. That's not okay. That's actually bad doctrine, and you really should go and read for yourself. You really, really, really should go read for yourself, because fear-based, creating a relationship from fear is not healthy. Little Miss Anxious Attachment Style. It ain't healthy, is it? I used to be anxiously attached. It's not healthy, is it? Little Miss Avoidant. It's not healthy, is it? For you to be in a state of attachment. It's not healthy for you to do that. So you have to detach. It's not okay for you to be in a space of fear and operate from fear. It's not healthy for you to be in relationships that are created from fear, not even with your creator. You have to correct that first. Okay? You have to get rooted in a real relationship that's not rooted in fear. How are you going to be in a relationship with somebody you're scared of? So that's the first course you get in that bundle. The second course you get in that bundle is wealth alchemy. When you learn how to rewire your nervous system to be able to fully receive wealth. The third class you get is loving the nervous system. That right there is going to help you deal with your hyper independence, your attachment styles, and all those different type of things, because it's going to support you in sharpening your discernment, showing you where these attachments came from, how to release them, and how to really discern if you're going to be out here dating. I do not recommend women be out here dating if you lack discernment. And if you wonder if you lack discernment or not, look at your past relationships and see what has relationships are supposed to elevate your life. And I want you to look at the relationships in your life and the relationships that you had. Have they been elevating you or have they been exhausting you? If they've been exhausting you, then we need to check in with your discernment. If you keep attracting people in your space that only exhaust you, you need to assess your discernment, because your discernment is not sharp. Discernment is the ability to be able to distinguish what is good for you and what is not good for you, okay? And so loving the nervous system supports you in doing that. It helps you go through, there's a companion guide. It walks you through every single step. Like I said, I used to be extremely anxiously attached. I used to be all over the place, and praise the Most High, I don't have those experiences anymore. And I've supported a lot of my clients in being able to detach from that and attract better partnership, community, and all these things. So you get loving the nervous system. You get the power of your feminine design, which teaches you about your feminine design and attraction and how attraction is science and all that great stuff. You also get passively paid. It teaches you how to detach from money and from, your ideas and ideals around income. And then I also have intelligence to income, where I teach you how to close high-level contracts with people, how to get big money by packaging your income, packaging your intelligence into a product or service where you can position yourself to be paid at a high level because you have it. In that particular class, you get, what is it that you get? In that particular class, you get assessments, you get all these different things that literally support you in figuring out what are my gifts, what are my strengths, what is this, what do people pay me for, what are people paying top dollar for currently, what does this look like, how can I go out here and be in this field? Because the truth is, they say in 2034, but I'm going to give you the 2030, most full-time jobs are not going to be there. And if you don't tap into the reality that you have creative and winning inventions in your very being, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in big trouble, okay? That's according to Proverbs 8 and 12. You should never be broke because you have creative and witty inventions in your very being. So if you don't tap into those things, those gifts don't make room for you, and voila, you become the project. And you don't want to be the project. You don't want to be at the bottom. You don't want to be the ones that you're being experimented on because you don't have a bag. And that's what they're trying to do. But I ain't going to do too much because I want to get banned. But the Magnetic Wealth Blueprint will support you in being able to remove those attachments so that you can position yourself to receive. It is an amazing, amazing, amazing bundle. It is going to sharpen your discernment and sharpen your detachment, which is going to support you in magnetizing more into your space. So that's $333. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay, okay? So I say anxious attached is the worst ever. Child, yeah, it was. I used to be that way. I'm not that way anymore. Now I'm very secure. Very secure, sweets. When I was anxiously attached, that was the worst experience of my life. But it's just more so of anxiously attached. And I'm going to tell you who helped me heal my attachment style was actually Queen Mother Lacey Taylor. I don't know if she's still on here, but she supported me in really helping me heal my anxious attachment style. And really understand it. And once I healed it, I was able to go back and study and see the depths of like how it gets created and how to completely uproot it and how to be very, very secure. And you learn these things in Love and the Nervous System, which is in the Magnetic Wealth Blueprint. I really break down heavy how to detach and discern properly so that you make sure that you are, dealing with people who are a part of your destiny and not dealing with the people who are distractions. Okay, the distractions plan on leaving you destitute, and this is what you have to think about. My favorite class this far, girl. People love Love and the Nervous System, baby. And I started to make Love and the Nervous System its own thing, and a part of me still kind of thinking about it because Love and the Nervous System is just so juicy. Like that class alone by itself is $1,000 class. I'm not even kidding. Love and the Nervous System is literally $1,000 class because the information that you're getting from that is really going to prevent you from repeating toxic loops over and over and over again in your relationships. And I'm not even kidding around. It just definitely is. Yeah, it's $1,000 class for sure. Because at one point I was thinking about taking it out and making it solely $1,000 class, and I still might. So if you want it, Why is it the magnetic well blueprint? You better get it at 333, because I guarantee you, like I said, eventually it's probably going to be $1,000 class, because the skill set that you get from it, being able to have a sharper discernment, to be able to operate from the energy of detachment, is going to literally save your life as a feminine woman, especially in the direction that we're going in. So if you want that, click the link in the bio. It's $333. You can get it with client on firm and afterpay. I don't know how much longer Love and the Nervous System is going to be in that bundle, so you might want to get it. Okay. What questions do you guys have for me, if any? You can click the link in the bio to get access to any of the courses and services. Like I said, the class tomorrow is 127. It's happening at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you're going to get your framework to execute. Like I said, it's rooted in physics. So it's you understanding your internal physics to get stuff done. A woman should understand the science of herself because it's extremely powerful. You not understanding the science of yourself is how you find yourself always misunderstood, or you find yourself always just kind of energetically attracting the things that you don't want. What you have to realize about attraction is that attraction is science. And when you understand the science of yourself, you can attract and magnetize whatever you want into your reality. And that's something I've been able to do with my amazing clients, okay? You're welcome. All praise to the Most High. But all right, guys, I'm going to get off here because I don't see any questions. I hope that you guys have an amazing, amazing day. Click the link in the bio to be able to get access to anything. Like I said, the class is... I'm super, super excited about it. Thank you so much. I'm excited for the class tomorrow. Yay, me too. The pre-work went out. So if you purchase the ticket while we're on live, you're going to get your pre-work. And the Zoom link is going to go out tonight, which is 24 hours before we actually have our class. If you have not seen your email and you sign up for class, check your spam. If it's not in your spam folder, make sure that you shoot me a DM so I can make sure that you are getting your information, okay? Because y'all know I don't play about y'all getting y'all stuff. So, yes. All right, y'all. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing Wisdom Wednesday. Please, please, please remember that self-care is the key fundamental of every single relationship, because you set the tone of how people treat you. By the way, treat yourself. You should treat yourself exceptionally well because you deserve it, okay? So, yeah, have an amazing Wednesday. I will talk to y'all soon, and I will see my Sacred Feminine League tonight for, is it the last time? I think we got like one more session before we close out. And I'll see everybody else tomorrow that'll be in class. All right, peace, y'all.